Over the market, go over today's plays, talk about what to expect going into next week. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for March 19th, 2021. Q's finishing up here, up 0.35, SPY down 0.16. Coming into today, we were neutral on the Q's and SPY, right? We had sold off yesterday. And then we got a little bit of a gap down. I said if we get follow through to yesterday's sell-off, then we will look for the next sell setup or base breakdown as a potential bearish opportunity. And there we got the sell setup. So you can see there's the sell setup triggering here right at the end of the day. Okay, so that's the retracement. That's the sell setup. It's similar to what we have on the daily on the Qs here, right? So we start a downtrend and then we move back and put in a lower high. That's just in basically what a sell setup is. And so now we have the sell setup here on the Qs. So gonna be bearish going into Monday on the Qs. Now the tricky part here, and this is not that common for me to have a different bias on the Qs and SPY. The SPY, while the SPY hourly you can see has gone into this downtrend, the daily doesn't look the same. See, the daily on the SPY is actually a bullish pullback. It is a flat 20, but it's into support, whereas the Qs have a much more pronounced, just have a downtrend in place on the daily. Okay, so while the hourlies look the same, Qs and the SPY, both doing the sell setup, it's neutral on the SPY because the daily's more bullish, but the Qs are bearish. So, it's pretty rare. It happens from time to time where we really have a different picture on the Qs and SPY. So going into Monday, SPY's more neutral, but Qs are bearish. So Monday, we'll see if any of that kind of resolves. It's going to be leaning more bearish, but you can see the SPY here. This is really daily still in an uptrend, right? This is looking like a potential higher low. Coming from all-time highs, right? That's where the pivot is up there. So they're different. Okay, so Q is definitely more bearish, and we'll be bearish on that going into Monday. Okay, so that will be interesting to see how kind of that resolves or if divergence continues. Okay. All right, today I thought there were a lot more things to look at today as far as setups and plays to go after. Now, like I said yesterday, TBIO, watch it for today, okay? Continuation on the gap, because yesterday, really nice gap. Sat in this all day waiting for this to fall apart, and I said, watch it tomorrow. I did give you numbers on this coming out of lunch here on the TBIO, so you did have to wait a bit. You could have played in the morning, but I didn't see a good setup. And then eventually 5 minutes starts to curl over price. And then underneath that, really nice downtrend there on the TBIO. Continuation from yesterday's gap down. Okay, so, got the continuation today. The ZKIN, you might have played this with me in the morning. First idea on this was if it did a pullback. So I was actually looking for a 1 minute buy setup here. See this pullback here? Was looking for this to set up as a buy setup, play over this bar. It didn't want to trigger, and it kept coming in. Okay, fine, no play. Just kind of staying too weak. And then we finally get, see this? The base. Okay, we finally come back up to the top, get the base here. Here is the play on the ZKIN. Okay, so when we break out over that, then we're in. Okay, and off to the races. This was very jumpy. It was pretty difficult to manage. Basically just, when it got the pop, just take some. And then tried to hold through this pullback. Brought the stop up because I just really didn't like how wild it was. And then got shaken out there. It did have one more new high in it. Yeah, it shook me out there. It looked like it was a good kind of exit. But then you see it had one more run in it before kind of ending the day here back down. So ZKIN, here's the gap on this, gapping over kind of a red bar with a topping tail. So that's bullish, right? Pro gap on this, gapping over yesterday's more bearish bar. gapping over that. So expectation is we can get a nice move up higher. So that was okay. And then the nice little breakout here on the OCDX. You can see this was kind of basing here. Another decent gap here on the OCDX. Yesterday was an attempt to kind of sell off, and then today gapping above it and clearing some resistance there. So some decent follow through. I know some people played this. I let this one go. I'm not that familiar with this symbol, and I noticed a little bit of spread, but decent enough, I thought, follow through to it on the OCDX, and like I said, pretty solid gap on the OCDX. Okay. So you can see, I mean, all of these, like we talked about yesterday, the concept of pro gaps, a lot of these, follow through TBIO on the gap, because yesterday was a narrow range bar. We expect on a gap like this to be a wide range bar. ZKIN pro gap up, OCDX pro gap up also. Okay. All right, so I thought there was a little bit more today as far as good setups. Not like right at the morning. The morning I thought was kind of slow, and then eventually as the later into the morning, early afternoon, some setups here and there. I mean, those aren't the only ones. Sammy had a call on the LX as well. So, it's just a little bit busier today, I thought, than previously in the week. We are outside of earnings season. Still going to be a few more weeks before we move into the next one. So, I think the important thing is to continue to focus on quality. At least that's what's important for me. If the setup's there, if the setup's good, then give it a shot. But if there's a few things wrong with it, or it's just aggressive, I'm just holding off. Okay. So we'll see, what we get next week. Hope everyone has a nice weekend, and we will be back at it on Monday. Have a good weekend.